One of the biggest robberies of all time would have to be Paddy Pimblett versus Jared Gorgon. That is, according to the vast majority of the MMA community. Now, I honestly didn't know if this fight was a robbery for the longest time, mostly because I don't watch Paddy Pimblett fights. By the time I started watching full UFC events, Paddy hadn't yet fought. And even when he did start fighting, if I was to ever miss an event, only on rare occasions would I find myself going back to a Paddy fight. And the first time I did it was literally a few days ago at the time of this recording. It's simply because I don't really care about Paddy Pimblett fights. I don't find his style aesthetically pleasing in both the striking and grappling realm. I think he's very effective, and he's very effective with the jits as well. His striking doesn't look that pretty. He's not that defensively sound, but he can definitely stand with some of the most dangerous guys in the division. Believe it or not, Michael Chandler has to be up there simply because he's in the top 15. Now, does he deserve to be there? That's a story for another day. But I do think that going in there and standing with Michael Chandler, there is a chance that you'll get knocked out. Yet Paddy was still able to outstrike him, so we have to give him some sort of credit for that. But my issue with this striking is that yes, it is technical to a certain degree, but not technical enough for me to admire it. Yes, it is effective, but not effective enough for me to admire it. He's not as explosive as guys like Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler, so you can't admire that about it. So essentially, all his striking is effective. So I don't really like looking at it. But I digress. Was Paddy Pimblett versus Jared Gordon a robbery? Personally, I think not. I gave the first round to Jared Gordon and the last two to Paddy, and I'm going to get into the reason why, basing it off of the judging criteria, which I always have to quote anytime I make a video like this because the vast majority of the MMA community has probably never viewed the unified rules. Heck, I'm not really mad at them for it. The first time I viewed it was this year after being a fan of MMA since 2022. In round one, Paddy was more active, landing teeps, low kicks, head kick with both his rear and lead leg, as well as straight punches. On a few occasions, he would land around Jared's guard, but for the most part, most of his strikes were landing on Jared's guard. It was very effective, similar to Peter Yan, but definitely not as technical. Jared, on the other hand, had less volume, but he had the more precise strikes, the more damaging strikes. He would throw big meaty hooks, occasional low kicks, and he would crack Paddy a little bit here and there. Nothing like a medium strike, more of a light strike on its way to medium. No, I take that back. It was probably a medium strike. And that's what made the difference. So, in as much as Paddy had more volume, I think it makes more sense to give the first round to Jared. On top of that, Paddy tried to take him down with about 30 seconds remaining, and Jared ended up in full guard and landed a few ground and pound strikes. So that makes an even stronger argument for him winning the first. Rounds 2 and 3 are the more controversial rounds, and I think Paddy won the second because he was landing the same strikes he was landing in round 1, that being the low kicks, the teeps, maybe a little less head kicks with the lead and rear legs, but the straight punches were finding home. And I felt like Jared couldn't really find home with those big meaty hooks he was landing in the first round. It felt like Paddy kind of figured him out. And then in round 3, Jared started implementing a lot more wrestling. He landed the high crotch takedown, but notice how even when he would take down Paddy, Paddy would get back up and then he would control him against the fence, not land anything aside from a few knees, which weren't even that hard because he didn't have that much leverage on his knees. Paddy was the one who was landing the elbows. You know those elbows people land whenever the fighter tries to complete a takedown? Yeah, he landed those, as well as some knees to the head in the clinch. He was landing more strikes than Jared Gordon was in those positions. And then there was another point where Paddy tried to take him down with a hip toss, but then Jared secured top position but got too greedy getting Paddy's back, ended up falling. Then Paddy was the one who secured top position. Jared got back up, but Paddy controlled him against the fence, landed a few short hooks and knees. So to me, that solidifies him winning the round. And I'm sure you can even check the significant strike count in that round. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be in favor of Paddy. I'm going to display it on the screen right now. I'm sure we can all agree that damage is the primary criteria to score a fight. And you tell me what hurts more, being smothered up against the fence or someone landing knees and elbows in the clinch. On top of that, he was more active, so it doesn't really matter how much control time Jared had. If he isn't doing any damage, be it landing ground and pound as well as threatening submissions that look deep, then he's probably not going to win the round. And that's exactly what the judging criteria says. It says damage is primary, and the secondary criteria are things like cage control and aggressiveness. Now, I do believe that Jared had more of that throughout the entire fight simply because he's the shorter man trying to get in the pocket. But we would only consider those if the significant strike count and damage was equal, which it simply wasn't. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.